Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, it's that time again for us to get some inspiration, some motivation, something to inspire us, hey, to read. That's what we're going to talk about today. Our guests are going to talk about how we should do some reading to help us move along in life, help us get ideas to help us later on in life. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. You know, I once had a professor at college I went to one time, and he said he always got depressed every time I went to the library because he knew there was books on the shelf that he was never going to get a chance to read, and he read all the time. So let's go ahead and get started here. Their guest today is Dennis Henson. All right, Dennis. Hey, thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me, James. I'm excited about being here.
And let me see, and I got your book right here. Just put it up here for people to look at coming in. The real impact, daily inspirations. Okay, that's what we need, some inspiration to get us through today. Again, to use those inspirations to get us through life.
I agree.
So, all right, Dennis, again, we just talked briefly before we got started here. And what was it? Yeah. I don't remember the exact percentage, but I know it's a big high number of people when they get out of high school that never pick up a book the rest of their life. So, yeah, I'm with you. We need to read. Hey, if nothing else, get our creativity going and give us an idea of a place maybe we want to travel to, something we would like to do in the future. Read to help fix our car, you know. So it's not all trial and error. You can do a little reading, you can get it done.
Absolutely. That's what my book is all about. It's about, well, the book is a formula. Someone on a podcast one day, I was a very successful teacher of real estate investor students. My students became some of the best business people in Texas. And because of that, I got invited to expos and different places to make speeches. I spoke in several countries. And one day on a podcast, someone asked me, Dennis, why are your students so successful? And I said, well, I have them change their habits. If they can form success habits, James, they will become successful. So then the host said, Dennis, what's the most success habit? What's the best habit? And I said, well, if they form the habit of reading something positive every day that leads them toward their ultimate goal, then they'll really become successful quickly, just like you're saying. So after the podcast was over, I thought, that was really the right answer. Wouldn't it be great if there were a tool, an app, or a book? And when I said book, it hit me. Dennis, you've been collecting books, success books, poems, quotes, and success stories for 50 years. You know, you're not using them for anything except your training. You could put those into a book and make it really simple for someone to form a habit of reading. Because if they only had a few seconds, everybody's busy. Even if you just have a few seconds, you can read a quote. And those are powerful quotes. I wouldn't have saved them for 50 years had they not moved me when I heard the quote. And then if you got 5 minutes, you can read a poem. Or if you have 30 minutes between meetings, read a short story or one of the longer stories. And if you're at the airport, you have 4 hours. There's a list of books in the back. You mentioned some of those books before the podcast when we were talking.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, yeah.
Right. So there's a list of powerful books in the back, and you could read for hours. So there's no excuse. If you want to form that habit, which is a life-changing habit, if you want to form that habit, this book is a tool to help you do that. You know, James, my father was a carpenter. And every day when he went to work, he took his hammer with him. What if he didn't? What if he didn't use that tool? He wouldn't have gotten many houses built, would he? So tools are very important. And this is a great tool. Not only will it help you form the habit, it's a fun book to read. You know, I challenge you, go to Amazon, look up Real Impact Daily Inspiration or type in Dennis J. Henson, and the book will come up. Click on it, read the reviews. I have over 100 reviews and a 5-star rating. People just rave over the book. I had one lady in the review said, "Oh, Dennis, this book came just at the right time. I was having a difficulty with my business. Things were really looking low. I needed some inspiration." This book will inspire you. I started out with 100 stories, and I had to limit it. I had to get it down to the point where the book was a reasonable size so that you could, you know, take it with you or use it for a gift. I didn't want it to look like an encyclopedia.
Uh-huh.
So I only kept the very best stories, and you'll be addicted after you read the 2 stories. I've talked with other people that have read the book. Some of them get it on audio, and they'll say, "Dennis, I've been listening to your book for a week." Well, it don't take a week to listen to it. I mean,
Yeah.
They listen to it over and over and over because it's really motivational. It's kind of like when I started in business, the company I started with gave me 3 books: Think and Grow Rich, Success, the Glenn Blend Method, The Greatest Salesman in the World, and they gave me their manual. When I finished those books, I was euphoric. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to get out and, you know, make my mark on the world. And I did. But after that, I thought, I need more books. I want to be excited again. Where's some more? So I would ask the other salesmen, but we didn't have an internet back then. That was in the 70s. We didn't have Google or any way to find books. You just had to, the librarian had no idea whether the book was motivational or not. They just, they knew what sections were in the library. So I asked other successful people, what are you reading? What have you read? And they gave me some wonderful books. And for some reason, maybe Jim Rohn, he told me to put everything down. I started keeping a list. Now, there wasn't a computer back then in the 70s. You couldn't sit down and type it up. So you literally had to write the list out on a journal. So when I started writing this book, I looked at my list and I thought it's better if I put it in priority order so that the first books are the most motivational. Well, they're all motivational. I had a really hard time coming up, prioritizing because, how do you compare Think and Grow Rich with Acres of Diamonds, and which one's the best? Well, I think Think and Grow Rich was better, so it went up a little higher, but it was a hard decision.
Yeah.
And there's books in there that I promise you, if you don't do anything else, but look at the list of books and start reading those books, you'll be motivated. Your life will be changed. There's a one story in there called The Go-Getter, one book called The Go-Getter about the blue vase. And it's just so motivational. It makes you think, well, why haven't I been doing this all these years?
That's right. Yeah, I got a friend that he did the same thing. He eventually made a list of the books he's read. Now, he didn't put them in priority. He put them in the order that he read. And like you said, he had to go back to the 70s and 80s and personally writing them down. And eventually he transferred them over to a computer when all that, computers came. But he's read, and he moved in from South Korea back when I was in high school, and him and I become friends. And he, Kim, yes, I'm talking about you. All right, Kim, talking about your reading. I wish I had his reading, desire. I'll read a nice book, but he tries to make himself read 100 books a year.
My goodness.
No TV in the house, him and the wife. And again, they're from South Korea. And so his goal is 100 books a year to read. And he's got a list of over 1,000 books he's read now.
My goodness.
So,
that's amazing. Well, and that will set you apart, especially if the books you're reading are the right books. Now, if you form the habit of reading and you read a love story novel, a romance novel, that's not going to set you apart. I mean, it's kind of like watching TV, but the kind of reading that I'm talking about is you form a habit. First of all, for this to work, there's a lamp on the front of the book. It's Aladdin's lamp. And if you know the story, this young man found this lamp and he found out if you rubbed the lamp, he was cleaning it, it had magical powers and it would grant his wishes. So when I wrote the book, I thought, well, that story really kind of goes along with the book because it has magical power. If you do what it says in the front of the book, it says, here's the secret, the magical formula. If you do what it says, it will grant your every wish. But first, even in the Aladdin story, Aladdin had to make the wishes. He got nothing until he made a wish. And that's kind of how it is in life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a desire. And as Napoleon Hill said, you need to have a burning desire. So it doesn't matter what the desire is. Hill said, if the mind can conceive it and you can believe it, you can achieve it. Well, the book proves that because over and over, story after story, it's people that you know. It's people that it's common names you hear every day, but you didn't realize they had some extremely difficult struggles. They got knocked down over and over again, and they just got up and kept going. And then eventually they're super successful. Like everybody's heard the group Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
From Fort Worth. Well, somebody was interviewing them one time and they asked about their overnight success. And so he said, the spokesman said, overnight success, what about the 20 years of going to bars where 3 people showed up, they had bar fights, we had to dodge the bottles. What about all that? What overnight success are you talking about?
Now you're making me think of the Blues Brothers show where they got that chicken wire in front of them while they're playing that one song. All they knew was that one song, and beer bottles being thrown up against it. Yeah. I don't believe in the overnight success like you're just talking about. It's right. Years of putting in the work, and finally it clicks.
Exactly.
Finally, yeah. It's not overnight. So just like these people would say they're self-made millionaires, bull crap. You had somebody that coached you earlier. You had somebody gave you ideas. You talked to other people. You've read other books. No, you're not self-made. You've had a group of influence somehow, and eventually it all clicked in.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. It's a journey.
It is. It is a
journey.
And I was telling you before, that here I am with a doctorate degree, but before then I could care less about reading. I mean, yes, I had to read the stuff to be able to do what I had to do and everything, but I could care less. But then afterwards, when I got into public speaking, that's when I really got into, like you said, Napoleon Hill, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rome, I can't think off the top of my head some others, but Max Lucado, as I like to read his stuff. But yeah, after that, I'll go for a good motivational, inspirational book at any time now.
Clement Stone and Augmendino, the list goes on and on.
Oh yeah.
Find the list in the back of my book, which I'm going to give you, or probably I've already mentioned the website where you could go. I want to give all your listeners a free ebook. And
good. Yeah. We'll get to that, and I'll put the link in the show notes stuff here a little later. But
Good.
yeah, appreciate that. Let them get a ebook. I'm going to get a personal book. I'm one of them. I like to hold it. I'm still not into reading it on the computer, and I know the people today, the young kids, that's their way of doing it. Hey, as long as you're reading, more power to you. But I like the physical, the holding.
Well, that's the premise. That's why I give the ebook away. First of all, I want to help people, and it will help people. But in order for the formula to work, you actually have to have the book. So the more I give away, the more people go and purchase it and give it to graduates. They give it to friends. They give it to people who are struggling. They give it to salesmen. They give it to their grandparents. I mean, this is a book for anybody. It's fun to read. The stories are interesting. I mean, I'm not being braggadocious. The stories were interesting before I put them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew they were interesting. I'd read them and they were interesting to me. So I thought, well, I can't fail. And the reviews I'm getting, the people just love them. And
that's awesome.
The poems and the quotes too.
Tell you a funny story. One time I was teaching. I used to teach before. Now doing all this, but used to teach. And there's one woman at that time, and I'm not throwing Christianity into everybody's face or anything, but I wasn't a Christian at the time. And this one woman recognized that I'm a good guy, and she wanted me to help to come to have a personal relationship with Jesus. When she comes out to school, she worked there as a teacher's aide, and she come in one day and she said, "James, I got this book I want you to read, and just take your time. When you get done, then I'll pass it on to someone else." Gina sadly has passed away. But Gina, thank you for offering that book. But I took the book and she handed it to me in a brown paper bag. And first thing in my head, I'm thinking, what the hell kind of book is this? You got to cover up in a brown paper bag, So I put it on the bookshelf at school. I don't know, 2 or 3 times she come up to me during the year about reading the book and said, Gene, I just hadn't got to it. So it sat there for like a year. She asked me about it one day and I said, Gene, I'm probably not going to read it. Go and pass it on to your next person. No, James, when you read it, then just give it to me and then I'll pass it on. And I thought spring break was coming up and I thought, read the daggum thing because I don't want to lie to her. Read the daggum thing, give it back to her so you can move it on. Well, that was Max Lucado, and the book was called He Still Moves Stones. I read that book, and again, big, powerful, motivational, inspirational. I looked in the back, and he had a list of his other books, and I was going, wait a minute. I saw his one book, so wait a minute. I go back into my sports room, the room I'm in now, and I looked on my bookshelf behind me, and there's a book by Max Lucado, The Appliance of Heaven, that a student gave to me 3 years earlier for a Christmas present. And I'm thinking, wow, that was already planted, a seed planter for the reading to come in the future. So I thought that was just a little funny for me. That kept pushing it off. Now I got like 20 of his books that I've read and everything. So
that's great.
So Miss Gina, thank you for that. Hey Marty, how you doing, buddy? I'm talking to you too. All right. So Marty's my country singer that he was married to Gina. So he called me and let me know she had passed away. So all right, Dennis. So yeah, I'm all into this inspiration. So I'm definitely gonna get me a copy. And I would encourage other people again, buy you a copy. Like you said, use it as a tool to inspire somebody. Give it to someone you don't even know. You see they're hurting and struggling. Say, hey, I would just want to help you out. Give it to them and then leave. Let you be a little angel to them. And so, I would encourage things like that with this type of inspiration book with the quotes and the stories and the poems in it. And yeah.
This is the kind of book that it's a legacy gift, I'm getting into my winter years. I'm not going to be here 30 years from now, but I'm leaving something that's going to help a lot of people for a lot of years after I'm gone. And you can too. If you're a grandparent, you want your grandchildren to remember you for the rest of their life. If you give them a nice book, this deluxe copy of this book, it's the nicest book that I could have possibly printed. I was on a podcast with a publisher one time who actually publishes, prints books, and helps them write and so forth. He held my book up and he said, "Dennis, this is the nicest book I've ever held in my hand. It's on the nicest paper. I had a professional artist do the pictures. It's in 4 or 5 color printing. It's just a gorgeous gift." So if you give this to a grandchild that's graduating from high school or college, my aunt gave me a book when I graduated from college in 73, and I still have that book, and I still think of my aunt all the time. Well, that's been 52 years ago, and I can still walk right to it and hand it to you. So if you want to give a legacy gift so you'll be remembered long after you're gone, this would be a great gift. And it's very inexpensive. Where else can you find a graduation gift for less than $40? I mean, that's really solving a problem right there. Christmas, graduation, birthdays. I mean, and it's a book for anybody. It'll change anyone's life if they'll use it the way it was intended.
Yeah. Again, I'm all about buying and giving it to someone
Right.
before they go through hard times,
Right.
difficulties, so it can better prepare them. They can come back to this book again to read some stuff to get them uplifted again. Okay. But if again you see someone already struggling, definitely would give them a copy of it.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I think it would be a great gift, like you said, like your aunt gave it to you before struggles came. This book, for you to be able to use from her. So, all right, Dennis, this is man, yeah, you got me all fired up. I'm going to go order this book soon to get off line here. Soon to get off, I'm going to order me a copy of it. And so I got a friend, Bird. Hey, Bird, talking to you, buddy. That he's all about quotes. He throw a quote off his head. Yeah, he's a big quote guy. So he came out with a book on persevere past your paralysis. No, it is. What's it called? I forgot. So, but now, Bird, I'm gonna be thinking of that book. But it's all just a bunch of quotes. So, bunch of quotes and everything to help people. So, all right, Dennis. So, what else? What else can you trying to read? You explained about the lamp. I like that the analogy about using that genie on the front, the wishes given, and then what this could possibly give. I like that put up front.
Yeah, if you go to the realimpactbook.com, the very first tab says the mystery of the lamp, and it explains it a lot better. There's a recording there and it's written out, but it's a nice little story about Aladdin and how that story really mirrors reality, and how that you can get just about anything that you want by using the book as your amulet or the lamp.
Looking at this question here, it says, in the real impact, you emphasize the importance of mindset to achieve goals. Could you share a pivotal moment in your life where a change of mindset led to significant purpose?
Sure. Have you ever heard of Jacksonville State University?
Yes, I have.
They have a pretty good band there, and they've had a pretty good band there for 60 years, or actually maybe a little bit more than that. When I was in high school, Northeast Alabama, I hated school. I was making D's and F's, and my teacher called my mother in and said, "Dennis is going to fail the 9th grade. He's a terrible student." All I wanted to do was play football, but my daddy wouldn't let me play football. So I was in the band, I played the drums. One day, Jacksonville State University concert band came to school and played. I was excited. Oh man, this is great. I get out of class. I get to listen to the band. At the end of their concert, the band director, Dr. Walter, said, "We brought a little treat for you. we bought our marching drum section. They're going to put on a little show. Well, we were in the gymnasium, and they went out on the gym floor, on the basketball floor, and they put on their drums and they put on sunglasses. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be good. And it was. I mean, they put on a show. I had no idea drummers could do things like that. It was the best thing I'd ever seen. My mind just went, pow.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my band director and I said, I've got to be in that drum section. I mean, what do I have to do? He laughed and he said, well, Dennis, you got to go to college with your grades. They're not going to let you in college. And I said, you mean if I change my grades, I get to be in that drum section? And he said, well, possibly. You'd still have to try out. And I said, okay. So I brought my D's and F's up to A's and B's. Over the next 3 years, I took books home, I read, I studied, I met with the teachers. The teachers were dumbstruck. They had no idea what happened to you. I mean, I went from being the worst student in the high school to one of the best. And then 4 years later, I was in Jacksonville State University, and I became a member of that drum section, and I eventually became the section leader. And while I was there, I decided I wanted to be the drum major, and I became the drum major of the Marching Southerners, which at the time was a pretty big deal. It still is. It still is. And so, if I didn't think, well, going to college costs money, I didn't care. I didn't think, well, how you go? All of the things. How you going to afford the food? How you going to afford the dorm? How you going to afford the books? How you going to afford the tuition? I didn't care. Nothing mattered except getting into that section. And I practiced. I learned the drum rudiments. I even knew their drum parts before I went to Jacksonville. I met some of the people in the section and got the parts and learned them before I got there. And on the day of the tryouts, I went up and played all their stuff for them. They were just shocked. But if you set your mind to something, what if I'd have said, well, I can't do it. I don't have the grades. I'm too dumb. I don't have the money. People talk themselves out of things that they can do.
Amen.
All the time.
Amen. We're the worst critics on ourselves than other people around us.
So that's just one. I could give you 5 examples of things like that happening where my life just turned on a dime. I saw that and I had to have it. And nothing was going to get in my way. I mean, it would have taken death to stop me from getting what I wanted. But, I had a tough upbringing. We were extremely poor. My father was a disabled veteran. He had PTSD. He was a narcissist. He was hard to get along with. So I was used to struggles. I mean, my whole youth was really, really struggle. So it didn't bother me to struggle. That was just part of life. And so if you can learn the lesson that anything that you want is a gift, when you get these things, desires are gifts. Now you can turn the gift away and say, no, I can't do that because of this and this and this and this and this, and you don't get the gift. But if you accept the gift and go after it, and of course you have to take action, you have to do what's necessary to receive it, but you can have pretty much anything you want. I'm married to a beautiful, young, wonderful woman. And sometimes people look, how did you marry a supermodel? Well,
there you go.
It was because I saw her and I had the desire, and every day I took a step. And after I met her, about a year later, we got married. And at the time, when I first met her, the thoughts of actually marrying that woman was just, it's ridiculous. No way that was going to happen. She was extremely intelligent, very beautiful, but we've been married for 20 years now and we're super happy.
Amen. I'm glad to hear that. So, I've yet to find the woman of the, so I haven't been able to marry up yet. So from
Well,
there,
when you see her, just know that you can have her.
there you go. She's out there. So we'll see if we can wait long enough. So hey, but I want to thank you for being on here. I'm definitely going to get this book, and so again, I'm gonna get a physical. I just like holding when I'm reading. So and go from there. So Dennis, I appreciate you being on, sharing your desire, and again to be in that band. And everything what you had was a motivation to finally want to succeed at something. Then you set up goals to get there, and one of them is to get out of the D range to get to the AB section. Okay, and then everything followed what you needed to get there. So it's like like you said, we can do most anything we want. First thing we do is have the motivation, desire, the inspiration to want to do whatever, and then we take goals, set steps to get there, and take baby steps to finally get there. Big steps, however you want to do it. Set your long range goals, and we can accomplish as long as we stay on that path. So we get, like you said, we're the worst critics on ourselves, that we'll talk ourselves out of anything more than other people around us. So, all right, Dennis, appreciate it again. If you can give your website again, any other way people can find you with, you got any Facebook, social medias, you want people to get hold of you. And he said he's offering everybody a free ebook if you go to his website, and I appreciate that, Dennis. And we'll go from here.
Okay, to find me is really easy. You can Google me. You could literally Google Dennis J. Henson phone number, and it'll pop right up. So I'm easy to get in touch with. So if you want to talk with me or want me to speak or come to an event or something, I'm super easy to get in touch with. But I would like to leave or to get this over to your listeners. If you want to change your life for the better, there's a simple way to do it. You can get the book. If you go to realimpactbook.com and scroll down to the bottom where it says podcast attendees, you get the book for free. It's instant. You put in your name and your email address, and instantly you'll have the book in seconds. You could have it before I finish talking here. And you won't be put on any kind of a mailing list. There's a tab there that says if you want to be if you want me to let you know when I have another book, you can click on that and I'll let you know when I have another book. But here's how you change your life. You take the book and read the first part that says, here's the magic formula. You read that and then you do that. If you read that and do it, which will help you form the habit of reading something positive every day that will move you toward your goal, you'll change the direction of your life incrementally. So I know Elon Musk wants to send a spaceship to Mars. If he's off 1 degree, he'll miss Mars by thousands and thousands of miles. This book will help you change your life 1 degree in the right direction. And by the end of your life, you'll know the difference because of the home you live in, the bank account you have, the people you're around, the kind of person that you're married to. It will have a tremendous impact. That's why the name of the book is Real Impact. So I hope that you'll do that. And I hope that if you want to talk with me, that you'll get in touch with me. Hope you go to Amazon. And whether you leave me a rating or not, if you read a good book, James just mentioned some good books, go to Amazon and find the book that you love and leave the author a rating. You will make their day. Authors look every day at their Amazon ratings to see, if you leave them 5 stars, you'll make their day. And I hope if you like my book, you'll go leave an Amazon rating for me. And I wish everybody the best. And James, thank you very much for having me today.
Dennis, I'm glad you reached out to get a hold of me on Podmatch, and really glad you reached out and to have this, because I don't know the percentage off the top of my head. I just know the overwhelming majority people don't read once they get out of high school. So again, maybe this will get them on the kickstart of being a life learner, reader the rest of their life. Because again, reading opens up doors you never thought of. Just because, again, what you don't know, you don't know. And by reading, you're going to know something. You're going to know stuff that you never thought of. So I like watching, I know this is off topic a little bit, but I like watching Dirty Jobs. Who's the guy? Oh, the guy on there, I can't think of his name. But he's really pushing back people not going to college as much, going back to trade schools and doing the plumbing and electrician and air conditioning and mechanics. And so, but Dirty Jobs, I get to see these jobs I've never even thought about that's out there. That how we're able to live because of stuff that's out there we have no clue. So I like watching those episodes. So, all right, Dennis, thank you for coming on. And we know there's people hurting and struggling. If you give a piece of advice, something positive to help them get through today, that'd be a blessing, man.
Well, besides forming the habit of reading something positive every day, I call it taking the G vitamin. If you take the G vitamin, then it's going to help you in a lot of ways. It's going to lower your blood pressure. It's going to make you more friendly. It's going to improve your mood. It's going to get you out of the dumps. It's going to make you feel good. And the G vitamin is gratitude. Appreciate what you have. Appreciate your day. Appreciate your life. Appreciate, your hands work. I had a stroke. After my stroke, this hand didn't work. And boy, now I really appreciate that I can see, that I can feel. You have so many blessings. So when you get down or when you get up in the morning, take that G vitamin. It will make you feel better and everything will look a lot brighter if you take that every day.
Amen. Yes, sir. Be grateful for what you got. Again, I'm in a wheelchair because I got my neck broke playing football. And so I'm grateful I'm able to get out of bed, able to get dressed, able to push the wheelchair, able to drive, because I know so many friends I've met that are not capable of doing that. So I'm a lot better than others, But again, it comes from hard work, I tell you what. So and reading and other things involved. So, and also having a family that were hard headed like me. So. All right, Dennis, thank you for being here. Everybody else, go get you a copy of it. If you don't want to spend money right now, Christmas will be coming up just only 11 short months now from here. And so you can already start stocking up the stocking gifts. And again, you don't have to wait for someone to go through bad times. Give it to them so they can prepare them for when difficulties come in life. So I'm definitely getting my copy, but while I'm waiting for my physical copy to come in, I'm going to get me an ebook and start reading it as we go along. All right, Dennis, thank you again. Everybody else, hey, share it to someone else, help them by passing on this podcast and also passing on the ebook and the website, and we'll go from there. Hey, everybody, do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past and before I get done, Bird, that book of yours was called, I had it while you were talking. It's your past doesn't have a future. And that's what he wrote with the quotes. Your past doesn't have a future. All right. So do something today, tomorrow, something next week to help you persevere past your paralysis.